In this video, you'll learn more about grammatical range and accuracy for the IELTS academic and general training writing tests. We'll discuss what this includes and the things to consider to get the best possible score. When assessing a response, examiners look for a range of grammatical structures. For Band 6 or higher, it's important that you use a range of sentence forms. Examiners look for simple and complex sentences. Simple sentences are made up of only one independent clause, that is, one subject and one verb or verb phrase. They can be very short or long. Complex sentences contain one or more additional clauses, that is, a main clause and one or more subordinate clauses. A dependent clause doesn't usually stand alone as a complete sentence. For Bands 7 and above, you also need to include complex structures in your writing. These are structures within sentences which use more complex phrasing. They include passive forms, modal verbs, comparative structures, or complex noun phrases. What about grammatical errors? In the writing test, your sentences need to be as accurate as possible, but they don't have to be perfect. Errors are likely to occur. These errors may be serious, or they may be less serious. A more serious error, like the one highlighted in yellow, may prevent you from communicating what you wanted to communicate. As a result, it may cause some difficulty for the reader. This can also happen if there are many errors in your response, as highlighted in pink. If errors are frequent and cause some difficulty for the reader, then the score for this criterion may be limited to Band 5. For Band 7 or higher, there may still be a few errors, but they will not impede communication. For Band 8, examiners will also look at whether errors are systematic or non-systematic. Let's look at whether errors are systematic or non-systematic. Systematic errors are mistakes that are repeated. They show that there's a problem using a particular aspect of grammar. For example, where articles like a, an, or the are usually used incorrectly. Non-systematic errors are when you only occasionally get a particular area of grammar wrong. For example, you generally use articles correctly, but occasionally you don't. This difference is not important for Band 7, but it is important for Band 8. For this higher band, the majority of your sentences need to be error-free, and the occasional errors you do make should be non-systematic. Can you see any errors in this sample? This sample shows a number of mistakes with articles. They are either overused or incorrectly used. As articles have generally been used inaccurately, the errors are considered to be systematic. Here is the corrected version. Next, let's talk about grammatical errors and faulty punctuation. Punctuation is important. For example, it needs to be clear to the reader where a sentence begins and where it ends. If it's not clear, this can affect communication, which can then make your script difficult to read. As with grammatical errors, the type and frequency of punctuation errors are important. In this sample, there are frequent errors in grammar, and punctuation is often faulty. These issues combined cause some difficulty for the reader. In this video, we've seen that for grammatical range and accuracy, the following areas are all important: the range and appropriacy of the structures you use, the accuracy of your sentences, the frequency of errors but also the impact of those errors, and finally, how accurate and appropriate your punctuation is. When you take the IELTS writing test, you might make some mistakes. But it is the seriousness and frequency of those mistakes that make the difference. That's why it's important to allow enough time to read through your response at the end and correct any mistakes that you see. Thanks for watching.